What's up, everybody? I'm Adam. You're watching the Model Aviator channel. For a couple of years now, multiple people have commented and said, Adam, you've got to try the E-flite Ultrix. Fair enough. Let's do it. The Tater Chip with an Attitude has a 23.5-inch or 600mm wingspan, and it weighs in ready to fly at just under 9 ounces or around 250 grams. This particular example is actually remote ID exempt here in the US by a couple of grams if I leave that wheel off. It's going to be right at home at an organized flying club, parks, schoolyards. A skilled pilot could even fly one in a decent sized yard or a gym. It is sold by Horizon Hobby as a bind and fly only. It is Spectrum DSM-2 and DSMX protocol compatible, and it's a 4-channel airplane out of the box. It has elevons, which handles the roll and pitch axis like elevator and aileron. The yaw axis is controlled by differential thrust rather than active rudders, and of course you have variable throttle control. There are two options available in the Ultrix lineup. The first to be introduced was the UMX Ultrix. The idea behind this airplane was to do something a bit different. A sport 3D plane that had capabilities no ultramicro before it had by utilizing differential thrust, and people loved it. So much so that the one request was, make us one a bit bigger. And the 600mm Ultrix was born. With a larger airframe, it's easier to see, it's a bit easier to fly, yet it retains all the capabilities of its little brother. So technically, this isn't the UMX version, it isn't an ultramicro, but it certainly has ultramicro DNA. They utilize EPP foam to keep the weight down and keep that wing loading low. It still uses lightweight linear servos. You've got 2 strong brushless motors. It's equipped with AS3X stabilization and optional safe select, as well as a bit of smart telemetry. The Ultrix comes out of the box almost completely ready to fly. You simply slip in the friction fit vertical stabilizers, and if you turn the airplane over, there are 2 small wheels on the back and an optional nose wheel that just slides right in. You can taxi the Ultrix around utilizing differential thrust and take off and land from the ground, or you can remove the wheel and hand launch it. It is, of course, a convenient top loader with plenty of room in that hatch for the recommended size packs, which are 3S, 450 milliamp to 850 milliamp, and as you can see here, there's an accessory set of LEDs that you can buy for this thing and turn it into a night flyer. When it comes to setting up your Ultrix, the manual has all the necessary information. This is an older model, a bit of an older manual. It doesn't have as much detail on setting your transmitter up as some, but there's certainly enough there to get it done. It's just a normal airplane model, normal 100% rates or 70% rates and certain amounts of expo. It's not difficult to do. There's balance information and, more importantly, battery position information. The batteries that I'm utilizing are the Spectrum 853S with the IC2 connector. That is the connector on the ESC of this airplane. And just bear in mind, if you're using batteries that aren't Spectrum and don't have an IC2, IC2s and EC2s are not compatible. So whatever adapter that you're using to adapt your XT30 or IC or EC3 battery to IC2, it needs to be to IC2 female to be able to fit this airplane. So just remember that. And when it comes to battery position, the battery slips in this channel. You can see here I've got my battery right there. They say if you want a sport flight, push it all the way forward, and I guess you can just pull it by the lead. There's a good bit of friction there, so it is pretty tight. They say put it back here dead even with the back, or the front, I should say, of the battery hatch if you want to do 3D, which is what I like to do. And I just added, I had a little piece of foam. It's just super light packing foam for another airplane that when I plug it up, I put that right there and then just put my hatch on. That keeps the battery from going any further back. I'm not worried if it goes forward. It's never moved in all the crazy maneuvering I've done. But if it does move, it can only go forward. It can't go so far back that I'm going to lose control of the airplane with the battery sliding way back here. So that is why I utilize that. And that is pretty much it. Our full setup page is next. So if you want to pause that and take a look at it and duplicate it, you can. When it comes to flight characteristics, first things first, I have to say that when the UMX Ultrix came out, it just wasn't an airplane that I thought that I'd be interested in. They brought this one out about 5 years ago, and again, it's just not something that I felt like I would enjoy. I am a believer now. Thank you so much to all of you that recommended this airplane and said, Adam, we think you'll love it. You're right. I absolutely do. I have a blast with this thing. It's just really different. It is capable of your typical 3D stuff, things like Harrier, inverted Harrier, hover, and you can do all kinds of pop tops and pinwheels and crazy spins, and it spins so much, you try to do a flat spin and it ends up going in different directions. I will say when you're doing the spin, you definitely want to, you can release the sticks at a full rate differential thrust spin, and the AS3X will catch it. It will get things gathered up for you, but it takes a bit of altitude to do that. If you want to stop it instantly, just go the other way with the rudder and stop it with the differential thrust, and you can fly off instantly. It's one thing I found out kind of the hard way. The other thing is when it comes to skill level, Horizon Hobby says skill level 3, and I tend to agree with that. I have had some students that were really exceptional with a trainer. They took the time to master it. They were doing aerobatics with it. They learned to be very smooth and hover around center stick and not be herky-jerky. Somebody like that could absolutely have this as their second airplane and adapt to how responsive this airplane is. If you're more herky-jerky, I think you need a smaller step between your trainer and this because it is very responsive. It isn't twitchy, it's just responsive. If the airplane's flying twitchy, it's you, it's not the plane. When it comes to setting it up, the manual makes that pretty easy. That's certainly not something that is beyond somebody that only has experience with the trainer if you've set anything up at all with your transmitter. So I think this is going to be a good second airplane for very few and an excellent third for most. When it comes to price point, right now, the current price point of this airplane is $179.99. I think considering what this airplane can do and what it is, that is a really good deal, a very fair price in today's market. And I will say this about it. I've flown it with and without the wheel. Hand launches are very simple. If you're not somebody that's good at hand launching, literally all you have to do is hold it by the back, give it full throttle, and let it go. And off it goes. It's got enough power to just accelerate out of your hand. So it's very easy to hand launch. You want to be very careful when you are landing the airplane without the wheel. I'm somebody who likes to kind of carry power in, and with this airplane, it tends to slow down and come in at a pretty high angle of attack. Just let it flop down. Be careful giving it little bits of power when you get really close to the ground, because I have broken a prop doing that and giving it a bit of power and misjudging it, and it flopped down with me under power, and it stressed the prop. And I saw kind of the white mark on the prop that told me it was stressed, but I thought it would be okay. I flew it again. Turns out it wasn't. The prop came apart, went into a crazy spin. I let off the power and was able to glide it in without any damage. So just be mindful of that. That wheel weighs all of 3 grams. So it is not much weight. It is not much drag. I'm sure you could measure the difference. Everybody says when you take the wheels off something, that they gain speed and vertical and all that. And that may be true of most. With this, there's a nominal difference. I like it with the wheel on because I like being able to do touch and goes. And that is what you're going to see coming up in the demo. So before we get to that, I will say this. We'll put a link in the description if you decide you'd like to add one of these to your hanger. If you go through that link, it helps support our channel. When you do that, Heidi and I appreciate it. Thank you very much. So coming up next is going to be the demo. We'll have a great time with this airplane, and I'm really looking forward to exploring the flight envelope even more, getting more used to it. I've flown this airplane maybe 7 or 8 times now, so not as used to it as I'm going to be. It is definitely something I'm going to take to the field with me a lot because it just doesn't take up any room, easy to transport, easy to store. So it's a good addition to the loadout for the field most days. So take care of yourselves. Happy flying. Enjoy the demo, and we'll see you next week with something cool with wings. One of the things I have to keep reminding myself with this one is when I want rudder authority, essentially, I've got to leave some power in or nothing's really happening. So it makes the inputs for things like pop tops and pinwheels a little different than I'm used to. This one hovers really well, got plenty of power to punch out. I've got to get a little more comfortable with it, and I'll back it down and get it lower. That's an example of what I was talking about, giving it opposite rudder with a bit of power to stop the spin. Very fast roll rate. Here I'm trying inverted Harrier for the first time, and it's a little different with this than other 3D planes. It's so lightly loaded. It doesn't take a ton of down elevator to get the nose up. It takes very little power, and because your rudder inputs are differential thrust, less is more. A little goes a long way. That is so much fun to do, and man, this thing makes it easy. It just spins like a top and stops instantly with a little power and opposite rudder. This thing has so much pitch authority it will turn almost inside itself, both right side up and inverted. It is a kick in the pants to fly. I think it's got a lot more in the tank than I brought out of it today. Can't wait to explore more of the envelope. Take care of yourselves. We'll see you on the next one.